an Arman here, right? So you can actually take an online backup, okay, and you can also restore it. Like you have. So there is something called as Maria backup. Okay. So with that, you can actually take a backup, online backup of your database, like you do it in an Arman also, right? It's like an online database, and you can take then incremental backups. Okay.
Okay.
So even this level of functionality is available here. So it's not that you can only take a kind of a snapshot backup. You have an export right in Oracle. Similarly, here we have MySQL dump.
Okay.
Okay. So it is similar to MySQL dump, the export backup. But if you look at Arman, you can take an online backup. For that, we have something called as MariaDB Maria backup. Okay. So that is a really excellent functionality because it really helps. Like you can have those online backups, so you don't need to bother. You don't need to have that thing in your mind that hey, my database will crash. I will not be able to recover because it's already there.
Okay.
So this is just a few things that are there, and it's very simple. I mean, this backup, right? If you look at it, it's actually very very simple to take. You don't need to fire too many commands. Even Arman is simple, I agree. But I'm just
Yeah.
trying to compare it and try to tell you what are the advantages here. Yeah. So
Mohit, when it comes to GUI, I mean, for monitoring and all, does it has a similar OEM
no, it
to
doesn't have
monitor?
OEM, but there are open source tools that can be used. Okay, that give you some of the functionalities. So you don't have those AWR and those kind of advanced functionalities that you have in Oracle here. Okay,
Okay.
but they have given you a few things like you can set up alerts. Okay, there are some open source tools available with Nagios. You can set up alerts for MySQL. It has a MySQL plugin.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
some of the important things, like when your database goes down, you will be able to get an alert. When your
Okay.
application fails, right, you will
Okay.
be getting your alerts. When you have a file system that is getting breached, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of important alerts when you have a memory utilization, when you have CPU utilization, and uh, you know
Yeah.
these kind of things you will be able to get alerted whenever you want. So these kind of alerting we will have.
Okay.
Okay. So again, for the Maria backup, the syntax is pretty much simple. You just go, give the command, give the target directory where you want to backup. You need to create a user for it. It needs to have a separate password. Just use this command and your entire database will get backup to the directory wherever you want. Okay, it's an online thing. You don't need to shut down. You can, of course, we take backups when the workload is less, right? Like in everywhere. But it's fairly fast. You will not find any issues. And you can also encrypt it. Okay, so they have, you can see on the side, they have a mechanism where you can generate keys. You can also encrypt it. Okay, and they have also given some issues that will be there, and you can also restore it. It's pretty much simple. So like when I take a backup, like I have done it some time back. I did it in May on my test VM. So you will see like everything that I have in my database is getting created here as a kind of snapshot.
Okay.
Okay. So like again, like you have a concept, right? Once you take a backup, online backup, it will not be consistent because you will have something getting written, right? So then you need to apply the logs if you want to restore it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So the same concept is here also. When you take this backup, okay, the next phase is you apply logs. Okay, it's called the prepare stage. Okay, so what it does is it applies the logs and it prepares the backup to the latest log. Okay, in this location only it will prepare the backup to the latest log, and whenever you want to restore, you just need to use that restore command and the database will be restored. All right. So this is how it will work. Yeah. So this is a basic thing about MariaDB. Okay. Now another topic that I wanted to cover was this Galera cluster. Okay. So this is like I can just compare it with the Oracle RAC for all of you. So for you to understand like how it works. Okay. So we have say we have a 4-node cluster here, right? So the cluster. Yeah, sorry. So the cluster is it's like your RAG cluster. So you can have this 4 nodes there, okay? And similarly, like I have this one node here, right? Like I have this one node here. Uh, so this is the Azure portal where I work for my all this uh, practice and all. And the good thing is you can deploy it on a cloud. Okay, so like when you look at an Oracle RAC or SQL Server also, right? I am not sure like what is the feasibility of now the RAC being deployed on AWS and other uh, Azure and all. SQL Server always on. I have seen getting deployed. They have a functionality, but as I understood from what I've read on AWS, you need some other additional components when you want to deploy a RAC on AWS or Azure. Okay, so here you just need to create a VM. Like I can have 4 VMs here, and so all these things, right? So this cluster can be easily deployed on a cloud. Okay, and you don't pay any additional charges, right? The clustering software is also free. Okay, so you need to just download this. So I can have 4 nodes here in Azure or AWS. Uh, so the current setup where I'm working, where this cluster is deployed on a cloud. Okay, and it's really stable. And we have a lot of people accessing it, and it's very much stable, and you can connect to any node. It's an active cluster. Okay, so it does not make a difference whether you come here and or you go to this node or anywhere you can connect. And if you shut down a node also, the cluster will still be active, like the way you have Oracle RAC. And the only thing in this open source is you don't have those kind of fancy GUIs like you have in Oracle and SQL servers, right? So you have some commands that you need to run to monitor things. Okay, but those are very simple things. You just need to see, when in Oracle you run few basic commands, right? And then you can keep kind of remember those things, right? So those basic things you can just go just write it somewhere, and once you practice it every day, or because every day you will monitor once or twice how is the cluster, right? So those things are actually becomes very easy for you. So you don't have those GUI kind of things, but with command line, the command will show you like how many nodes are there in the cluster, what is active. If you have something inactive, it will also show you like okay, I have only these 3 nodes that are a part of a cluster. Okay, so you have a cluster configuration file, right, where you define like, okay, these 4 nodes are part of my cluster. Okay, and so if a node goes down and 3 nodes are there, so say after 1 hour I bring this node up, it will automatically sync up with all the 3 nodes. Okay, because obviously this data is not so what happens is, in your rack and all, you have a shared disk space, correct? You have this ASM shared volume, right? So anytime a node comes up, it will anyways access the shared volume, so it will get the latest data.
Yeah.
Right. But here, what happens is, so we don't have the concept of shared volume in this cluster. Okay. So everything is on a local file system. So if I have this mount point here, right? So I will have a volume attached to all the nodes of the cluster where my data will be. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you will ask, like, how will, if this node goes down? So obviously this data will be a bit old, right? Because it's in the local file system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And all these three nodes will have the latest data. So
Yes.
what happens is when this node comes up, it will communicate with all the three nodes that, hey, I'm alive and I need the latest data. Okay. So any of the nodes, okay, it will pass on the incremental data. Like they will have one checkpoint, right? Okay, till this point, I have the data available with me, consistent data, right? So any of these nodes, okay, so because this is a synchronous cluster, right? So it will give the latest data to this node, incremental data. So after this checkpoint that we have here, the data will be transferred from any one of the node to this node. Okay. And once the node is in sync, it's called an incremental state transfer. When the node is in sync, then all the entire cluster will accept this node and the entire cluster will be up. Okay. And it works really fine. So there is no consistency issues and everything. It works really flawlessly. So you don't have to bother about it. You just need to bring it up, the node and all. So this cluster is very much, kind of sensitive about consistency. So if a node detects that there is an inconsistency, the entire cluster will go down. Right. So you will not get that inconsistent kind of data node. So the internal mechanism is built in like that, that if you have an inconsistency due to any reasons, okay, if there is a bug or anything that is there, then the entire cluster will go down. Okay. So this is just a basic overview about it. You can read about it. Like I showed you, right? Even Red Hat and many of the organizations use this Celera cluster. So it's picking up, and so it's a bit about it. So it's more like a virtually synchronous cluster, master. You can actually use it very well, and it works fine. Active master technology, read write to any cluster node, failed nodes drop from the cluster, automatic node joining that we discussed, replication, row level, and you have a proper, I mean, a client can connect to any node and you will not come to know which node is it and what is the difference, and you can easily deploy on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay. So I have not worked on Oracle Cloud till now. I have worked on mostly like Azure I have worked, and AWS I have worked. So there I've seen these things getting deployed, and it's pretty stable. I have never seen any VMs going down. I'm not sure how many of you have actually worked on a database on a cloud. But yeah, so things are a little different when you work on cloud databases. I mean, the functionality remains same, but you need to know a bit of cloud things. And it is always good to know the cloud these days, because increasingly all the workload is getting moved to cloud, right? So like if you look at this is the Azure portal, so you have all the SQL databases here, right? So you can create your SQL databases here, and you can also import the data from your on-premises to a SQL database. And so I've been working on Azure for some time now. So it's actually very interesting when you work on Azure and AWS. I have see, so now create Azure database for MariaDB server. So there are two things. One is called as RDS, right? Has anyone worked on RDS in AWS?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, correct. So on RDS, you have everything that is getting managed by the cloud provider, right? And you only do a basic operation from your end. You will not have access to the machines, correct? That's how the RDS works. But if you look at these machines, if you have a single machine, you can also install it from your end. So you're not dependent on RDS only. you can you can download your own software, and you can deploy all these clouds as you want. So it's up to you, like what is your uh, thought process or how your architecture is designed. So like I said, all these things are fairly simple to be deployed on cloud, and then you can have some of the other cloud related stuff being available. You can have firewalls there on the cloud, and you can have security groups. So everything can be managed on the cloud itself, right? And it's actually fairly safe, like what I've seen. Okay, so like these are my VMs here on the cloud, and so I've just used some basic VMs right now to access it. So if you want to read a bit more about this clouds and all, sorry, on this MariaDB, you can go through the documentation and just install it on any of your servers and practice it. This Galera cluster that we spoke, it is not available on Windows. Okay, so that is one limitation. You have to install it on your Unix servers only, and it's very simple installation. You don't need to do a lot of things there. You can, if you Google it, how to deploy a cluster on AWS and all, you'll find a lot of links. Even the MariaDB website, even the AWS website will tell you how to deploy it, because these things are increasingly getting deployed there. And just to add, there are many companies that run thousands of machines on these clusters. If you do a YouTube search and all, you will see like how many, how these databases are picked up. Many of the mobile apps that we use, right, they run on these clusters, and uh, and they have massive replications. You can create these clusters in different availability zones. Like you can have one of the cluster nodes in US East 1, then you can have a node in US West zone. And so if you have a 5-node cluster, you can have 2 nodes in one zone, 2 nodes in different zones. So you get this kind of zone availability. If your nodes go down in one zone, so at least the next 3 nodes are available in different zones, availability zones, right? So that is how deploying a database on cloud helps you, right? Rather than having your database in one data center, you have your database instances nodes in different availability zones. And then you can also replicate your databases. Like you have one database, master database in 2 zones, then you can have set up a replication in some other zone in some other geography. Like I can set up a database in US, then I can have a database replications are going into another node in India or Australia, right? So those kind of functionality you will get when you deploy your database on Azure or Google Cloud. Yeah. Okay. So that's all for today's session. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mohit.
Okay, thank you, Mohit.
Very nice.
All right. Thanks all. Bye. Have a nice day.
Okay.